Welcome to Seasons of Life, a biblical perspective for how to navigate life's ups and downs. Do you feel overwhelmed? Or do you feel successful? Experiencing loss? This weekly 15-minute word of inspiration will motivate you to live with more wisdom and peace. Here is your host, Pastor Mercy Oduah.
Hello, my precious viewers. I'm excited to bring you another powerful, fantastic episode of Seasons of Life. I am always excited to bring you this inspiration because I love to see you encouraged. I love to see you stand in the promises of God. I love to see you continue to believe and not to give up. As you know, Seasons of Life is a biblical perspective for handling your life challenges, the good and the not so good. I am sharing from my Seasons of Life experiences, hoping they will benefit you as you go through your own ups and downs. If you are watching me for the first time, kindly subscribe, share, and like this video so that we can become a community of support. Thank you for sharing, thank you for liking, and thank you for your comments as well. On my previous episode, I discussed about the spiritual seasons of lack of growth. Yes, I talked about the spiritual seasons of lack of growth. I said that God wants us to grow spiritually as we grow physically. God wants us to grow in the knowledge of Him. He does not want us to be stagnant. He wants us to grow to the point whereby we start bearing fruits and people will come to eat our fruits. Because at the end of our life on earth, what we have is the fruit. That is what we will carry to Him. And we will hear that word that says, "Well done, good and faithful servants." So today, episode 54, we examine another spiritual season called the season of unanswered prayer. The spiritual season of unanswered prayer. Those seasons when you pray and you fast and you read your word and you cry to God and nothing is happening. It looks like the heaven is closed on you. It looks like your prayer is bouncing back. And you wonder what is going on. You see, I heard a testimony of a lady in a prayer meeting. After a while, she busted out crying. And people wanted to know why she was crying. She said that it looks like God does not answer prayer anymore because she has been praying for so long over a particular issue. Wow. When I heard that, I felt so sorry how the enemy has lied to her heart. And that's what happens when we don't really understand God and the ways of God. When we come to a place where our prayers are not answered by God, we doubt, we faint, and we give up. No, this is not what it is supposed to be. I want you to know that those seasons of unanswered prayers are normal in our spiritual growth, in our relationship with God. There are times where the heaven is silent and you don't hear nothing. So at that period, it is very important for you to be empowered to know what is going on so that the enemy will not trick you. The enemy will not lie to you that God does not love you or that God is not able to answer your prayer. You must empower yourself with biblical truth so that you can be able to stand on those seasons of unanswered prayer. And for you to be able to stand and maintain your joy and keep on believing and keep on trusting God and keep on reading the word, you must develop trust in 3 areas. Yes, I am going to equip you to develop 3 trust in 3 areas in your relationship with God. And these 3 areas of trust that you must develop is you must trust in the sovereignty of God. Trust in the sovereignty of God. The number 2 is to trust in the season of God for you. And number 3 is to trust in the purpose of God for you. These 3 trusts, when you develop it, the enemy will not lie to you. And now we are going to look at those trusts, those areas of trust in detail. The first one is trust in the sovereignty of God. When your prayers are not answered, I want you to trust in the sovereignty of God. What is trust? Trust can be defined as a firm belief in someone's ability, someone's strength, someone's reliability, someone's capability. That is what trust means. So when I say trust in the sovereignty of God, you will understand what I mean. And then what is sovereignty? Because I say you must trust in the sovereignty of God. What is sovereignty? Sovereignty is someone's absolute power and authority. Someone who is in control, who has the absolute power and authority. So to put it together, when I say that the first trust that you have to develop is to trust in the sovereignty of God, means to have a firm belief in the power and in the authority of God. I want you to know that God has all the power and all the authority to bring your prayer to a place of fulfillment. God is able, more than able, to answer our prayer, to answer your very prayer. So if it is not happening, there is a reason. Not because he does not love you, not because he does not know how. God has the authority and power to answer our prayer. Even when the enemy is opposing that prayer, like in the case of Daniel, the Bible talks about Daniel praying for 21 days, and the principalities and power, the wickedness in high places, were delaying, were holding his prayer. But at a certain time, Angel Gabriel and Michael had to come to speedy that prayer. You see, God's power overshadowed the power of the enemy. So do not believe that the enemy has power over your prayer, because God has the highest power and the authority, and God is in control. God knows everything. God knows how to answer that prayer. Also, the book of Proverbs, chapter 3, verses 5 to 6, tells you to trust in the Lord and lean not on your understanding. Yes, trust in the Lord and lean not on your own understanding when your prayers are not being answered as you expect. Remember, God has the power, the ability, the strength to answer your prayer, to bring it to pass. No any other power in heaven, on earth, beneath the earth is greater than the authority and the power of God. That is why God is sovereign over all. So trust in the sovereignty of God as you wait for your prayers to be answered. I hope that encourages you. The second trust that you have to develop is to trust in the season of God for you. Trust in the season of God for you concerning that prayer. Yes, everything on earth has a season. According to the book of Ecclesiastes chapter 3, it said, for every purpose under heaven, there is a season. In other words, there is a season for your prayers to be answered. You see, God does not work with your own calendar year. The calendar year we have here, the January, February till December, those are for the earth. Those are for us on earth. God lives outside time. God dwells in eternity. God is the eternity that begets eternity. Nothing controls him. Our time does not control him. That is why the Bible said that a day is like 1,000 years before him, and 1,000 years is like a day before God. So do not give God the time to answer your prayer. Yes, some people pray. Some men of God, women of God, sometimes pray and say, God, you must do it this month. You must do it today. All those type of prayer that we do. No, our job is to pray, and God's job is to answer at his own time. I want you to know that season is for God and time is for men. Our time does not determine the seasons of God. God knows the appropriate time. There is a cliche that we say, God's time is the best. Sure, God's time, God's season is the best. So trust that in fullness of time, in due season, God will bring it to pass. If you look at the Bible from Genesis to Revelation, there are instances where people prayed and waited for the timing of God concerning their prayers. So we can learn from them that God has his time, God has his season to answer our prayer. So I want you to trust in the seasons of God as you wait for that prayer, for that need to be taken care of. I hope this is blessing you as well. And the third trust to develop as you wait on the Lord is to trust in the purpose of God. Yes, trust in the purpose of God. God does not do things anyhow. There is a purpose for everything that he does. So as you are praying and waiting for God to answer that prayer, trust that God is working it out. God has a purpose for that prayer that you have prayed. He has a purpose to delay it. He has a reason why he is not answering at that time. And mind you, sometimes our flesh can make us to pray the wrong prayer. And God knows when we are praying the wrong prayer. We must trust that God knows the best and has the best interest for us. So trust in the purpose of God concerning that prayer. I am reminded of the prayer that Jesus prayed before he died. He prayed to the Father, if it is possible, let me not go through this death, this horrible death on the cross. It was a prayer. Was that prayer answered? No. God allowed him to go through that cross. Why? Because the purpose was bigger. The purpose was bigger. So sometimes some of the things, that thing that you are praying for might be needed in your life. But in your own understanding, you don't want it. You don't like it. That's why the Bible says, do not lean on your own understanding. So that thing that you're praying out, that you are binding and losing might be the very thing that you need for your next level. It might be the very thing that God will use to bring a blessing to you. So trust in the purpose of God as you are waiting for your prayers to be answered. I tell you, if you practice these three trusts, the devil will not lie to you. You will be at rest as you wait for God to answer those prayers. So what are the trusts again? The three trusts again. The first one, as I said, is to trust in the sovereignty of God. The second trust to develop is to trust in the season of God for you. And the third trust is to trust in the purpose of God for you as you wait for your prayers to be answered. So as I close, I want you to meditate on the book of Proverbs, chapter 3, verses 5 to 6. It says, trust in the Lord and lean not on your own understanding. Trust in the Lord and do not lean on your own understanding. Do not depend on your own understanding, but in all your ways acknowledge Him and He will bring it to pass. So may the Lord bless you. May the Lord cause His face to shine upon you. And may the Lord enable you to trust Him as you wait for your prayers to be answered in due season. Shalom, and see you in the next episode.
Thank you for watching this episode of Seasons of Life. Until next time, be well, and may God bless you.